Hey, hey, hey. Good day, folks, from the United Kingdom. Yeah, that's right. We've been in the United Kingdom this whole time, in case you didn't guess it. Maybe with the episode when the Queen died, but we've made it obvious now. And we're back. The Two Maesters are back for part 2 of Secret Invasion by Marvel. Sounds like I was doing a plug there for Marvel. Hashtag Marvel. And we will be talking about episodes 4, 5, and 6 today, the final episodes of the Secret Invasion series. But first of all, hi Josh, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Morgan. I think having recently watched the series, it's really fresh on my mind and can't wait to get into it. And I think the one thing I really did like about the series is that it did bring something different to Marvel as well. And that it wasn't like, it was different from like the other Marvel shows. And I think it really did open up the book. That I thought it'd be like a huge conclusion at the end, but it opened things up, which was pretty nice for the future.
How would you say it's different from other Marvel shows?
I think the other shows kind of had some form of like, one, you had like the spy element of it, so it was less on the powers and special effects until, spoilers, the last episode.
Oh.
And also the fact that it kind of like, there wasn't actually like a real resolution. It was like, now everything's expanded to a bigger situation, which could then basically S hits the fan, which potentially can make things worse in the whole Marvel universe.
I know we said we're going to talk episode 4, 5, and 6 in this, but I just got to start with episode 6. Because when the president's like, we will not stop until we kill every last Skrull. And I was like, this isn't really a happy ending.
Yeah. That was the biggest shock for me, because I was like, are we going to get this? Oh, yes, we will do our best to work with this people, work with the Skrulls, and be able to then cohabit with them. And it's like, no, F them.
Yeah.
It's humanity all the way.
Yeah, typical humanity. We're just such a hateful bunch, aren't we? Classic humanity back at it again. Yeah, did love that ending. So let's go straight into it. Episode 4. So, episode 1 to 3, we did have some assumptions or some predictions that we'd think Talos might possibly become the bad guy after his daughter dies and stuff, because Gravik busts her... don't even know what I was going to say there.
Busts a cap in her ass,
in episode 3, which was quite a shock. But it turns out she had gone through the... become a super Skrull as such. She used that special machine and gave her... What do you call it? Is it the heat?
Yeah, Extremis, yeah.
Extremis, heat. It does look very hot, the way it glows red and orange. But yeah, the fact that she did that, so she was fine. She was all good. But great episode, because there's some really, truly emotionally touching moments in it. So, for example, when Fury's somehow listening in on Vara, who's his Skrull wife, talking to the fake Colonel Rhodes. And
Spoiler.
Colonel Rhodes says, kill him. And just really emotionally impactful. Like, the soundtrack hits it good, the acting as well. And then there's that great scene where Fury confronts her at home. They both sit down on the table, guns on the table. Just something about that scene was so emotionally pulling. Like, well done. Oh, whoops, wrong one. Well done, Marvel. You have finally made an emotionally impactful movie.
Especially the fact that the way that they were in the church, and the singing actually had the impact of adding to the fact that she goes into, like, she gets the phone call, goes to the lockbox, brings out the gun, and then is in, like, we're not even sure, like, if Colonel Rhodes was a Skrull at that point. Because, like, the first, when they started talking, was it like, oh, I'm talking to Vera basically to say that he's Nick Fury. Mistake there. Nick Fury has basically gone off the rails. You need to reel him back in. But it was basically, no, you need to kill him now. And then it was also sad, and like, she was trying to plead for his life, like, oh no, he's gonna die of exhaustion anyway. And I think that line was perfect. Like, if you keep telling me what you're not going to do, then I will. Did he say, I will show you what I'm going to do? Now that was a classic line. Before he leaves, he's like, that was amazing. And I think when they have the sit down, I knew that Nick Fury wasn't going to die, but I thought that he was going to kill her.
Me too, especially
and that she would try and kill him. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I bet she's missed him, but he's shot her or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Or potentially he's been hit in the shoulder, he shot her, and that's how the relationship ends. But it was like a really nice shock to realize that they both aimed not to shoot each other.
yeah, that was cute. That was proper relationship goals
Yeah.
right there. Both
And
trying to
like,
assassinate each other.
and like at first, I thought that she purposely had done it so Nick Fury could hear. But then later down the conversation, was like, no, no. When he saw her phone, he put a bug on her phone to then hear the conversation that she was having with the Skrull that was pretending to be Colonel Rhodes.
Yeah, and I like how they hadn't made it obvious by that point. I was
Yeah.
like, well, Colonel Rhodes is like telling him. I was like, oh, wait, okay. It makes sense now.
Yeah.
Explains everything why Colonel Rhodes was just being so deep to
Yeah,
Fury in the
yeah,
episodes
yeah.
before. Like, you know, in that restaurant scene where he just basically fires him. I'm like, this doesn't seem like Colonel Rhodes. Why is he being such an asshole?
And also, like, some of the words he was saying as well, like, if you really think, he wouldn't have actually said them. Like, when he was like, oh, I nuked your ass,
Yeah.
or I burnt you. It was kind of like, that isn't the type of way he would talk to Nick Fury. But I thought, is it the stress? Is it everything that's happened
Or is
since
it
the
just
blip?
bad writing?
Yeah, but then I was like, yeah, he doesn't sound like him. And, like, especially when, like, in the episode when they tried to later in the episode when they tried to like stop the no, that's episode 3 when they have the nuclear explosion that's about to go off and they're able to stop it. The fact that because the guy called him,
I can't remember.
because when he's speaking to Talos, when Nick
Yeah.
Fury's, they're in the house with the admiral who's ordered for the nuclear strike to take place.
You know, it's so long since I watched, because we're doing this
Yeah.
thing of we wait to talk about 3 episodes at a time. I watched them all like this week, so I actually can't remember episode 3, but go on.
So at the end, he's in the house and the person's pretending to be Talos, so he calls him Nicholas. So that's the thing that tweaks Nick Fury to
Fury
say
knows.
that's, and like I think Nick Fury in the back of his mind was thinking that he might be, and then he then realized, yeah, he must be because the way he's acting, because this isn't like based on like the way that Colonel Rhodes acts in like Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3 or in like Captain America 3,
Yeah.
Civil War, or the way he acts in like Avengers 2, that he was kind of out of character. But I was just pinning it on the fact that the blip happened. He's had to come back. He's struggling. That's why he's being such of an asshole. But no, it's like, no.
We're all going through tough times.
It's the fact that he's trying to knock Fury off the scent.
Yeah, and exactly from watching. So I watched Captain Marvel yesterday for the first time, and that's how they pick up on a Skrull. Like, basically, if you've got a nickname, if someone's a Skrull pretending to be your closest friend, they won't call you by the nickname that everyone calls you. They'll just call you by. So the Nicholas thing came up, and that's how he knew when Talos was masquerading as someone from the CIA or Shield. So same thing, the Nicholas thing. Yeah. Just I probably wouldn't mind. Sometimes I have had nicknames in the past, and people call me by my normal name, and I don't think they're Skrulls. Totally normal thinking. Maybe they are Skrulls.
Well, there was an open Congress meeting yesterday about aliens, so maybe.
Really?
Yeah. It's funny that we watched it. We're discussing this, and also like there was a huge open Congress panel discussing like UFOs and like the new name they've called UFOs.
Yeah, there's a new one. I did see because there was an article in the news this morning about someone, a former US airman, who's talking about how UFOs sightings are so common. They're out there, people. Cue the X-Files song. Download that next time. So what else did we see? Well, Emilia Clarke, also known as Gaia, is a super Skrull.
Yeah.
I've got to admit, one thing I don't like is how they're just like, super Skrull. Like, it doesn't really say that. It's not like in real life, you know, if they did this, they'd call them super soldiers. You know, it's a bit cringe.
Yeah. But then it's kind of like if their race isn't very poetic, then they will just correlate as basic as possible. And also maybe...
Oh, you're being an apologist now for bad
No, I'm
writing.
just saying. I'm saying that potential. I think it's that they call them Super Skrulls in the comics as well. So I think they just want to be in line with the comics.
Right, okay, fair enough. If they say that in the comics.
And also, like, Superman is probably a bad name as well, but...
Yeah, I suppose. They can't really call him Power Man. Superman's works, yeah. Fair enough. Okay, that was mean of me, being too harsh on the Marvel writers. Okay, and then the attack scene on the president, I thought that was pretty wowy. I love this episode. I even messaged you and was like, wow, episode 4, damn. But the attack on the president here in the UK, that's right, Joe Biden. You were just here in Tottenham. I saw your motorcade. Weird enough, Joe Biden's motorcade drove past where I live in Tottenham. Wow. I was just like, of all the places to see the US president, I was not expecting him in Tottenham Hale. But yeah. Just warn you, mate. Watch episode 4 next time you come to Tottenham Hale.
Extremely weird. Like the fact that us watching it was around the period of like them discussing UFOs and the US president like being in the UK, and he's in the UK in Secret Invasion.
Oh
it's
my
like,
god, spooky! Yeah. Too many coincidences, man. What the hell? This is messed up. Yeah, and Skrulls are probably the last thing for him to worry about if he's going through Tottenham Hale. But yeah, cool scene. And obviously, we can't talk about that scene of what happens with Talos.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of sad. He had his moment with his daughter earlier when he was talking about like how he's like persuading on how he's gonna get humans to give them a place to live, give them something for helping stop this uprising and stuff. And well, unfortunately, quite tragically, he died. And if you know what happens in episode 6.
And I think it was the way they portrayed it was really, really good. Because I think, especially, they were like, it's also so funny, like, the fact the way they're like, oh, you need to make it massive. You need to make it as hard-hitting as possible to make them believe it's the Russians, because that's what they do. And it's like it's funny because like the Skrulls are basing it off like stereotypes. So the fact that they barge in and all of a sudden start shouting in Russian.
It's like, no, and you hear Gravik speaking in Russian as I was like, well, apparently everyone suddenly knows Russian now. Fantastic.
And you're like, but like really you could have done subtle ways to make it look like Russia, because like even later on, I think in episode 5 when you had, or was it 6, when you had the person from the military speaking to the president was like, we don't know if it was Russia yet, because like of course people, the people would automatically be like, well, someone could be posing to be Russia. Like, why would Russia go and do this, knowing that they could get caught and it'll be blatantly open?
Mutually assured destruction. You kill the president, but then the vice president will be like, okay, let's order a nuclear attack on Russia.
And like I think the thing I really did like about the scene was it didn't really give like Nick Fury and Talos plot armor.
Plot armor? What's plot armor?
So the times when you see this in Star Wars and in James Bond, where you've got a character who's the main character who runs around, people are shooting at them, but somehow bullets just miss them, lasers miss them all of a sudden.
Happens in so many series like La Casa de Papel. There's so many. It always happens. It's just because the modern mob, there's no honor in firing a gun and fighting people. So when it comes to cinema, it's got to be that somehow they're dodging all these bullets and stuff. Yeah,
and I think that's kind of like why I like the whole series as a whole, was that it wasn't like superpowers. Like for example, when they are in Vera's home. So in episode 6, when they're in Vera's home, and what was that, episode 5? They're in Vera's home and Guy is there, and they come and attack. It wasn't as if like they were dodging bullets. No, they were actually taking cover and actually had protective gear.
Yeah, and they're doing that spin around thing, and Guy had the shotgun and was just like...
Almost exactly the same. I think it was exactly the same make that Nick Fury had when they were trying to prevent the fake Russians from killing the president.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I did like about that scene was that even though Talos probably knew his face was turning green, and that he was exposed, he was like, F it, I'm trying to save the president.
And really cool effects as well. I do like seeing that, how, when a Skrull dies, they completely lose their disguise. But in the process of dying, like little bits are shining through. That was cool. That was a really cool, good. I think that was actually prosthetics, apart from when it was obviously in the process, they're probably doing CGI. But that was really cool. I really like the Skrulls, actually. They do look very, very cool. So let's move on to episode 5, because we're basically on the verge of spilling the beans.
Yes.
And speaking of Skrulls, when Gravik finally shows you actually see his Skrull form in this, and boy, is he big and scary looking. And I love it. His second in command's like, "Oh, you could have killed the US president. You let Fury get away."
And also the fact that, just on Pagan's point, his second in command.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he wanted to kill Talos. He shoots him there. Like, he has the gun. He says, "Kill Talos." He shoots him, and he shoots him there, but then doesn't shoot at him again. Like he shoots Talos. Talos ducks and then goes down and then starts to break the glass. Like
Oh,
he
maybe.
could have. I think like he could have hit him in the forehead or hit him in the chest, but he shot him there.
Well, he had a bit of art plot armor, I guess.
But I think he didn't want to kill him because he was tired of like the way that Gravik was going about it.
Yeah, I mean, you see that resentment slowly grow among the Skrulls. Starts with Guy and then slowly builds up. But yeah, when Gravik kills him, and then all the other Skrull try and gang up on him at one point, and then he's just
that scene was amazing. Yeah,
I love it. How he's like, "Who wants it? You want some?" He's such a British boy. Okay, let's play a game. Where do you think his accent's from?
Birmingham, I believe. I think that's where his accent's from. I believe.
think he is a bit of a Brummy Gravik actor. Let's see where he's born. I'm going to go with Manchester. Let's see. Good actor as well. I've got to say, I loved him as the actor.
And funny enough, he's playing he's playing Bob Marley in a new film that's coming out. I think it's coming out next year. Yeah, he's playing Bob Marley.
Is it just a biopic of Bob Marley? Oh, I'd be keen to watch that. That'd be good. So he was born. Oh, Gospel Oak, London. Well, I was not expecting that.
Neither was I. No.
Perhaps he was putting. Oh my God, he's Jewish as well. Shalom, my people, my people. See, we make the best bad guys. Oh, don't take that out of context, please. But yeah, wow. Well, I guess he might have been putting on accent. There's something quite intimidating about a Brummie coming up to you and saying, "You want some? Who else wants some?"
Yeah.
Like, great as that scene was funny. It actually cracked me up.
It did, and I think like I really enjoyed it because as a people, they would have realized that okay, then he's just killed Gaia. We believe he also killed the guy in episode 2 who he believed he ordered his death. The guy who gave the location away for their safe house. He's now just killed Pagan. Like, how is he? He's just gonna kill all of us until he gets what he wants. And I think that's the realization. Because, like, sometimes in films or TV series or even in, like, games or books where the henchmen are like, well, he's killing us off, but let's still fight for him. And it's like, no, they're like, F this guy.
Yeah.
The way he's going about it, calling us, we're soldiers and we're there to just die and we're fodder to continue his own specific aims. And it's just like, really?
They're no longer aligned, and then they all decide, okay, we agree, let's gang up on him.
Funny, I was thinking the same thing.
And I like that. That always seems to happen to these sort of dictatorial leaders. It gets to a point where they cross the line and their own people turn against them. And fortunately, Gravik was just too strong and cool. I love him. He's a good bad guy.
And one thing I have to say that a lot of people have hit out at the Marvel fight scenes from like more closer films like in the last like 2 years, like since Endgame and the TV series. But I think the fight scenes in Secret Invasion have been really good. Like either the shootouts or actual physical fight scenes have been very good.
Yeah.
Especially like when they're all fighting Gravik. And the fact that one thing I do like about his character is that you don't always need a character to have redeeming qualities.
What do you mean? What, having a redemption arc? Like having a sympathetic side?
Yeah, you don't need a villain to always have a sympathetic side and then have that throughout the series and like, oh, this is the reason why he's so bad.
But do you not think that's the case with Gravik? Because, I mean, just kind of delving into episode 6, but, he is a very justifiable reason because Fury basically failed them. He made a promise. Fury basically, well, I'll save that for a second. But yeah, you can see why. And he's having and if you know what happens in episode 6, which we're about to talk about, humans turn against him anyway. So
yeah. So the thing is, you understood why he did it, but you didn't sympathize with him as much as like you would have sympathized with like a Thanos. You wouldn't have.
I mean, did you sympathize with
Thanos?
Thanos?
Loads of fans sympathize with Thanos, especially in Endgame, or how people like sympathize when Loki was still evil. Like, oh, he's an adopted son. Even though he's killed all these people, he's not that much of a bad person.
Funny, I was thinking the same thing.
I think like with Gravik, it's more of like, his reasonings, but not really sympathizing with him. Like, especially from the offset when he's like, you know what, I'm fine killing my own people to get my own aim.
No, I mean, I was sympathizing with him until he started killing his own people. Then I started thinking maybe he's a bit of a psycho. Like he's kind of lost his mind a little. He has kind of goes a bit way too far with that. I do love that group power he does, where he like turns his arm into giant twisting branches, just punches a hole through Pagan. That was pretty impressive.
And I think one of the things that they constantly bang on about in the series, whether it's like Gravik or whether it's like Gaia, the fact that they're both telling like Talos that the refugee type isn't us. Like, remember when he had the conversation in episode 3? When he was like, "You should join me," she said like, "We're not that. We're not refugees looking for a home. That's not." I think she kind of said, "Stop rewriting our history. That's not who we are."
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the reason why Gravik is like that. Because if you base it off the comics, all the stuff that Gravik did is what the Skrull would usually do.
Yeah, because they're like a fighting race, aren't they? Yeah.
And like so what they would do is like infiltrate a race and then kill off its leaders, take control, and then take out the species bit by bit and manipulate them to fight each other. And I think like to like Gaia's and also Gravik's point, which is a very key point on where the whole situation with the Skrull could go in the future, is that they're not really like refugees. That's the story that Gravik has told about his species. Like he didn't even tell Nick Fury like what their species. Actually, he did later on in episode 2 when they're on the train together. He says that they'd lost a war and it wasn't that they were just attacked out of nowhere. So you kind of start to see that the Skrull are starting to turn towards their comic version. That they're not just a group
violent, because they're the bad guys in the comics. Yeah,
they're not just a group of refugees who are just attacked out of nowhere who have lost their homes. It's they engaged in a war, lost the war, and that they are a form of warlike people. And it links to like episode 6 that potentially like Gaia could eventually say, you know what, we've had enough. We've had enough of our people being killed, and then her turning on humanity.
Yeah. And then seeing that in Captain Marvel, that looks that way at first because they come across, they look evil, you know, when they're in their not in a disguise form, and the whole duplicitous nature of them, you know, I guess that's why people would err on the side of being against them, especially like the U.S. president. I mean, he was almost killed by them as well. But you can't seem to trust them, you know.
Yeah, and it's like very similar to like some Cold War-esque espionage of like you can't trust your neighbor. They could be like the whole rhetoric that America was saying during the time, like you can't trust them. It could be someone who could be a communist. You can't trust this person,
or they could be aliens.
Yeah. You got it.
Okay, quick question. Do you think aliens are here on this planet?
I don't know. I think that's the thing. The question is like, for me, the answer would be no. And I think for me, it's like I was watching an interview by Neil deGrasse Tyson, a astrophysicist. He was saying the fact that we have so much cameras that either the fact that you can catch like a bear flipping cones, you can see like you can see things that happen once in a million chances or once in a billion chances that you see caught on camera, but you don't see aliens caught on camera. So he's like, either
the aliens, maybe not the alien in the form, but maybe like a UFO. But sorry, I interrupted.
So he was saying like either the aliens are powerful enough to capture all the information and remove it, which is then scary but also unlikely. Or potentially, I think some people are saying, could the UFOs that have been sighted been from other nations? Like, for example, if you have a spy plane that you want to send to the United States, would you want to make it look like a UFO? So then they will then not know where it has come from. So you can spy on the United States if it's got like...
It's gaslighting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good move. And it's also like one of the things why it was convenient for the US government to, you know, put it out there that maybe it was aliens and UFOs in Roswell, New Mexico, when they could have just been testing a secret drone and it just got... the public just caught their eye on it.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. And I think that's the issue, because the US government and governments in general have like gaslighted for years. Like I remember watching the King and I, and in the King of an I, to basically, I think that's the one with Young Fat Choi who's in it, and also I think Jodie Foster is in it as well. That to get people to leave the capital because there was a coup going to take place, they said that they captured like a white elephant. So everyone in the city has gone to look at this white elephant, but but technically no one looked at it. But just because they were told there was a white elephant, everyone then left. And
That's power.
and the fact that
crowd
they've
control.
been saying like stuff like this for years, and like there's even like theories. Maybe we can add this and go further into our UFO podcast
Before the government shuts us down.
That potentially, like, one of the things that the United States has done through its like history is always had a threat to keep people in line. So like, for example, you had first it was Native Americans that they used to keep people in line. Then it was like the British to keep people in line. Then it was like the French and then the Spanish with the wars they fought against them to get the rest. And then the Mexicans. You then had like African Americans, especially when slavery was ended. Then after that, it was the Germans because of World War One and World War Two that they were the main threat. Then it was like during the Cold War, it was like communists that, you don't know who could be a communist, your neighbor. And even they were saying like some of the UFO sightings.
UFC fighters. Conor McGregor has been sighted flying over Washington.
that would actually have been funny. Some of the UFO sightings, right, have been staged by the government to keep people in a constant fear and panic system that they still need the federal government because the federal government will keep them safe, whether from the British or the Native Americans or the Spanish or the communists or the Germans, that they are there, and even like in the modern society, for like terrorism as well. And now Russia and China, that America needs a big bad to potentially keep people in line to still believe that the federal government is needed.
I mean, yeah, possibly I could believe that. If you look at how long the USA has been existent, I think it's only out of all the years it's been in existence. Don't quote me on this, but I think it was like only 2 years of its entire existence has it not been at war in one way or another.
I can 100% believe that.
And that could be a theory for it. Could also be like the military weapons complex as well. You got to keep war's good for that kind of business, I guess. So you got to keep that going. Potentially. Wow. Good thing we're doing this podcast in the UK.
And funnily enough, linking it to everything in episode 6, the US government, the US president, could be using the scroll as his thing to keep people in line. Like, this is aliens. And your president, who you should vote for a second term, is the perfect person to take out these aliens.
Exactly. There you go. This is an election year.
Election year.
I would love to give these scrolls a home, but it's an election year.
The president against aliens. Like, it's a perfect thing. Like, I think he's seeing it on the political angle of it. Like, I can use aliens as a way not only to get reelected, but to get NATO on my side, get the United Nations on my side, and potentially like places like Russia and China on my side, and basically be like, I'm the savior of humanity, saving us from Skrull. And like, that's another reason I loved episode 6, because that's what a president would do. Like, he wouldn't be like, let's sit down with the Skrull. He'd be thinking, this could get me a statue. This could get me on on money, on stamps. Like, if I'm the one who saved humanity from aliens, forget the Avengers. Their day's done. The president is going to save the world from aliens, and I think that's the angle he took.
I just loved him going on a rant at the United Nations. They have weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction.
You can just imagine it. The United Nations, like you all of you are fearing Wakanda. It is not Wakanda. It's the Skrull.
Take him
and
down.
Literally standing and everyone applauding, and then that we must unite, and that's why we must get vibranium from Wakanda. Wakanda, we need your vibranium to fight the Skrull. Like, how they can twist that to basically to so many different means.
In the comic books, there's the Skrull infiltrate Wakanda as well.
I'm not sure, but I know they replaced the president of the United States.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
So that could, what if the president of the United States is actually a Skrull? Because I was waiting for end of. We've definitely skipped over episode 5. But I was waiting for an end of credits scene, and there was none.
That's what I thought could be in the end of credits. Yeah.
I know. What the hell, Marvel? You're like gaslighting. Because now I'm not going to watch Marvel movies to the exact end, like as in to the end of the credits, because I won't think there's an end of credits scene, and I'll just pop one in there. Just out of the blue and take the piss like that. Like, I'm upset, Marvel. That's one of my picks of this, saying Super Skrull and no end credit scene. Anyway, so before we definitely need to talk about episode 6, but some other things to pick up in episode 5. Olivia Colman, Sonya, I just love her. This
She's
character's
amazing.
great. Yeah,
She is amazing.
Olivia Colman's great. She was great in Peep Show. She's great in this. When she shoots the boss of MI6,
Yeah.
or was it SIS? Sorry,
SIS, yeah.
So good, so good. And there's also a scene. I wrote this down in my notes, but I've forgotten when it was. But it's like, oh, I don't doubt you for a moment. The males in my species are. Oh yeah, so I think she's talking to Gaia. Oh, I don't doubt you for a moment. The males in my species are similar. If they're not busy gaslighting you.
Oh, no, that's the scientist.
You.
The scientist and her husband. Remember, they go to their lab, they go to their house, and then the husband puts the gun to his wife and says, "You will not betray. You will not betray Gravik." Yeah.
Yeah, the husband's like, "Let us go, or I'll kill her."
Yeah.
And then Sonya's like, "Oh, I don't doubt you for a moment. The males in my species are similar. If they're not busy gaslighting you, they're threatening you with murder. It's what all the podcasts are about." And I was like, okay, well, folks, our audience are there. We're now turning into a podcast about
gaslighting and murder.
Toxic masculinity. That's what we're talking about now. Oh, yeah. Toxic masculinity. Woo. Yeah, definitely not changing to that. But yeah, bad stuff, toxic masculinity. So, also, we did touch on it, Gaia and Vara's shootout scene. Someone needs to dub this scene with, like, you spin me right round like a record. Because they do this weird, like, action sequence where, like, Guy's got the shotgun and Vara's got a pistol and they, like, just spin round and 360, even though, why would they do that? Like, what? But just suddenly changed. Oh, I'm bored of shooting the guys over here. Do you mind just we swap? Still, though, very cool. And the shotgun with Guy, pretty badass, and Vara, very cool as well. Then, you know, Fury going to Finland. I love it. He puts a face mask on.
Yeah.
And I was like, lol, fake Skrull move. Is that cultural appropriation of the Skrulls? I think it is.
And I think it might also be like a nod to the TV show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they used to have like those. So what they put something on the person's face to make them look like somebody else, and that's something they had throughout the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series. And it's also funny, like what Olivia Colman was saying, her character, that you couldn't have updated the technology, like just the face. Yeah. I think she has to wear gloves and a scarf and everything.
Yeah.
They could only like change the face, nowhere else.
This is S.H.I.E.L.D. though. They literally had like a flying aircraft carrier, which defies so many laws of physics, but no, they just wear a good old mask. Very classic, very Cold War move.
Yeah, and all the alien tech that they've taken from the different races as well. They couldn't have come up with something that looked better.
Yeah, I know. Oh, well, they tried. And then, you know, in Finland, when another bit as well, I found kind of funny. In Finland, when Fury gets into the car with Sonya, she turns on the engine and, you know, turns the radio straight on. And that's Stormzy playing.
And he's like, seriously? And she's like, yes, we're listening to this.
Sit your ass down.
Like, oh, so funny. Like, they had to throw in something like that. Sonya's just great, as if she would listen to that music. And, you know, so I kind of missed a bit that these gravestones that they have around everywhere of Fury, right? Of Fury's name, they're just put there. So has he got these gravestones in multiple locations?
I think he might do, like in secluded locations.
Just so he can stash like certain things, like for example the harvest.
Yeah, the DNA from everyone. Like damn, like when I saw the names when Talos, not Talos, when Gravik put it into the system, like all those different names, like you could see like Drax, you could see. I think they also saw Gamora there as well.
Yeah, I did see Gamora. Yeah.
Then the fact
Groot must have been there, yeah.
And Abomination was also there as well.
Which one's Abomination?
So the one with the. So, have you seen any of the Hulk film, or have you watched Shang-Chi at all?
No, I haven't.
If not,
actually.
Abomination is like this guy who's like, I want to be like the Hulk, tries to do the exact same experiment, but his fails, so he turns into some kind of like...
ugly monster.
Yeah.
Damn, he ugly. Oh, wow.
But is this just as strong as the Hulk?
All right. Well, can't have looks and strength, can you? So...
And it just goes to show also that, like, what was Fury planning to do with it?
Yeah, well, yeah, good thing. That does leave a lot of questions, actually, because they harvested it from the battlefield. And, you know, did they get, like, it leaves me some questions, like, do you reckon they got Ant-Man's DNA on it? But, like, what DNA would they get? Would it be really small? Would it be really big? We didn't see anyone turn into Ant-Man, so maybe they didn't get
also, he's still a human. Like, his powers come from, like, the PIM particles he uses.
So
not
then they wouldn't have got
himself.
anything from him. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and suppose Tony Stark, they would have just if they would have got DNA from him, it would have just been money because that's his power. Cash money. Yeah. Interesting.
Did they have? They must have had Thor's DNA as well.
But then how? Because like Thor's like really hard to hurt and make bleed.
But maybe a bit of hair might have fallen off when fighting Thanos. But then also like
Maybe a bit of sweat because he did put on a lot of weight. Maybe he
That
was
is true.
out of shape
That
and he was
is
just
true.
sweating a lot all over the
and
battlefield.
also, I'm just thinking like the people who collected that must have been a hell of a process.
Yeah.
Just to signify, okay, that's this person's DNA. That's that person's DNA. Like,
Yeah, like they find a piece of pubic hair from like the Hulk or something. They're like, God, I'm not paid enough for this job.
and like going through like different blood, and you're like, whose blood is this? And having to then catalog different bits of blood, different
Yeah.
bits of sweat, different bits
How
of
would
hair.
they test that out that they got the right one as well? And
I
who it
think
belonged
they.
to?
I think Shield has it on file. I think Shield has some of the information on
Oh, so
file.
just match it up.
So then they'd match it up and be like, okay, then we don't have this person on file. So whose blood could this be? And then they'd have to go in further. Like that must have taken years, like literally to just categorize and say, this is that person's blood. And then funny enough, the machine Gravik was using just did it in an instant. Like, yeah, they're all there. They're all there. I've just gone through all the names. That's everybody.
So wait, but then maybe it's a Hydra thing because was that battle with Thanos? Assuming the first, the second, well, both battles with Thanos was that before Shield found out, or before the good people in Shield found out they were actually Hydra.
It was after, yeah.
The battle was after.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I was going to say maybe Hydra.
I wouldn't be surprised if Hydra had like a full list of like DNA. They probably took, well, yeah, because if it was like a Shield archive, then it was a Hydra archive that was then reclaimed by Shield.
Right. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it could have been leftover work or something. Maybe they even got it earlier and it's secretive. By the way, just you know how like they go, "Hail Hydra," secretly to each other. Me and a friend we work for the government, and just when we walk past each other in the office, just randomly we go, "Hail Hydra." The Hydra's in government. I'm telling you, man. If they control me, they control you, bro. Conspiracy theories. So moving on. Oh, okay. Random question. Do you think Fury is finished?
No.
Okay, cool.
No.
Moving on.
Because I think he's actually going to do what he set out to do, to find them a planet. I think that, maybe we can discuss this like further later, but I think that's what they're going to do.
What, move them to Finland, into like sparsely populated areas? So
well, they did
Finland-
take a bit of Norway to give the
Yeah,
Asgardians. Yeah.
Actually, I did see a meme post that's like says they give the Asgardians safe land and sanctity, but they wouldn't give the Skrull safe land and sanctity, which is interesting.
One, I think because like one, they look like humans,
Yeah, it's been
And
more
two-
palatable.
and two, I think based on like the 9 realms that they've already been to Earth multiple times, and they don't really see Thor as an alien. Like the common people don't see him as an alien.
Well, because I guess he's already got that touch to Norse mythology, so it's
Yeah,
kind of
and
feels more familiar.
I think also it's the look as well. Like they look human.
Yeah,
They're super powered, but they look human, and I think that's what they kind of get away with. And also the fact that Thor has helped to save the planet multiple times.
and I'm sure Thor is great on a night out. Like going back to the first movie when he tries coffee for this first time. This drink, I like it. Bring me another. I would love to go out for a drink with Thor. Okay, quick question before we finally move on to episode 6. Out of all the Avengers, who would you like to go on a night out with, other than Thor? Because I just said that.
Tony Stark.
Yeah, boy, drinks would be on him every night.
Yeah.
Whether he's fun to hang out with, not just because he's rich. You wouldn't have to pay for a single drink.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you,
also
Tony.
like the prestigious nightclubs you'd be able to get into as well. Like oh, I'm Tony Stark. Oh, Mr. Stark, come in, please. Who's this? Oh, he's with me. Oh, come in as well.
Yeah.
Like that type of thing. I think the issue with the Hulk, especially now that the Hulk is full on like green stage and is like held like going out with the Hulk. If he was pure Hulk, would be funny and hilarious to just see. But then now because he's like a mold between both of them.
He's
like
too much in control.
yeah, so like he'd be like, you know what? I'll take a drink here. I'm going back to the lab, and you're like, it's too early. It's too early.
Super lame. I know. You'd want, and if you went out with him in the super. Also though, if you went out with him in like the previous stage where he's very unstable and angry. He'd be one of those friends who's always a liability on a night out, like getting dragged out by security. And you're like, oh god, Hulk, not again.
And like Spider-Man 1 would, based on US laws, would be too young because it's 21. So yeah,
Good luck
so
going
he'd
out
be
with
too
drink
young.
with him. Yeah, true.
Ant-Man might be funny.
Yeah.
Because then probably when he gets drunk, he'll just start messing around with like the pin particles, and like have a huge glass of like vodka about that big, or shrink it down to size.
Actually, that's clever. You know, if
Yeah.
you want to save, if you're going out for drinks in London, knowing how much it costs for a beer, it's like $7.50 now. Manipulate those pin particles and just sip your drink.
make it
You'll
huge.
Be,
yes,
you'll be so drunk.
Yes,
Oh,
you would be.
This is This is.
But then the
genius.
question is with like with pin particles is that does it add to the substance? So is the alcohol level the same throughout? So therefore,
Well, surely
you can drink. To get drunk, you'd have to drink more of it. So it'd still have the same alcohol content, or would it be that because it's bigger, there's the alcohol content has increased, but so has the beer content?
I don't know, because then it depends on, because, you know, when you're drinking, it's your blood alcohol.
Yeah.
And then that's why it affects people differently. Some people are lightweight, some people are heavyweights. I feel like if you were small, because the volume, if you drank an entire pint when you're the size of Ant-Man, which if you do that, well done to you. I feel like you would be really drunk because you have a lot of liquid in your body.
Yeah.
Same way as like, you know, he could still drown as Ant-Man, but it'd be a smaller amount of water just because of his size, but I'm not sure I'm making sense there.
Yeah.
But I think we need to write in. This is something that what's the actor that plays him, Paul Rudd?
Yeah,
He's got a great sense of humor. This is something he would answer. So Paul Rudd, we know you're listening to you. You're one of our billions of viewers. Please answer this question. If you how do you say it? If you manipulate the
Pin particles, yeah.
the pin particles, can you drink a whole pint and be absolutely rock solid drunk? Good things. We think about the good things on this show. We ask the right questions.
Yeah. Who else? So
Who else is good for a night out?
I think
Nick Fury would be great on a night out. Oh, he'd just be constant sass, honestly. Like, his lines
and
are
then if you can get him drunk enough, the stories would be amazing, though.
Funny, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah. He drinks a lot in this show as well.
He does.
Like when he goes to see Rhodey, and like Rhodey whips out that really expensive whiskey or something, or like, I love hearing Samuel Jackson just drinking alcohol. He's like, yeah, so good. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's enjoying that bourbon. Okay, let's talk about episode 6. So first thing that struck me in this episode that I found so funny is, you know, when Captain Rhodes is Captain Colonel Rhodes, but is he even a colonel anymore? I don't know why we're still calling him that.
I think he still is, because he's a colonel. Because I think in certain places in the world, and also if you gain a certain position, that even if you're not serving in the army anymore, you still keep your rank because you're still serving the United States government. So like I think it's the same thing here. Like if you're like let's say a sergeant, or let's say a major or major general in the army, then you go to then work in the MOD, you still keep your rank even though you're not in the field.
Okay, fair enough.
So I think that's also kind of like with Captain America, because like who told Captain America?
He never actually made it to rank of captain.
No, he did.
Was he actually rank of captain?
Literally, when he got his powers, they were like, you know what? He can't be running around like a normal person. We'll give him a captain. So he's Captain Steve Rogers. And like people didn't like him at first because they're like, wait a second, so you're just a poster boy who's got like a captain, and it's like similar to like when they get like animal mascots and give them ranks.
Yeah.
So then I think someone was saying to him that, oh, I outrank you based on your ranking, do this. And I'm not sure what film it was. It might have been Winter Soldier. But yeah, they were like saying that because he has a rank within the army, and that translates also into S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right, okay. Okay, that makes sense. By the way, just picking up on the fact that you said some animals have ranks, that reminds me, there's a king penguin in Edinburgh Zoo. That is technically Colonel in Chief of the Norwegian King's Guard.
Yes, I did see that, yes.
Brigadier Sir Nils Olaf III. And man, when I think once a year for his birthday, Norwegian King's Guard come over in full ceremonial uniform and weapons.
I saw it online on YouTube.
You see little Olaf the penguin just marching up and down, just inspecting them. It's so funny.
Just imagine, like you're thinking to yourself, this penguin has a higher rank than I.
Yeah, this penguin's doing better than I. He's more successful in his career. Bloody hell, he just sits there at a zoo. Wow. So yeah, sorry, before you got distracted there. In this episode, You have Colonel Rhodes talking to the president saying, we need to order a strike. It was the Russians. They've been sheltering the Skrull. They've been colluding. Look at this. We have Russian troops massing on Ukrainian-Finnish border. And I was like, well, this was too soon. I wonder when this was filmed. But I mean, I think that's been going since, 2021, 2022, the Ukraine-Russia crisis. So definitely a lot of references here to that. And I saw Oppenheimer this weekend, and it seems like stuff's just all very too soon, because in Oppenheimer talking about nuclear bombs and the dread behind it. Have you seen it yet?
No, but I do know the story behind it, yeah.
It's very good. We should do it. Actually, I think we should do an episode on that, because I'd love to talk about just nuclear weapons, Hiroshima, and all the stories behind that. And one thing the director, Christopher Nolan, said is, we didn't mean for it to be so timely, because, the tensions with Russia, it's almost like we're in another Cold War. And again, this also very timely. So hearing that, I was just like, too soon.
And I think if you go back and look through like all of like Colonel Rhodes' actions, you can kind of like see that he isn't himself. And you can also see that he's...
Well, how far back do you think he's actually changed? Because obviously, we've got Secret Invasion, but...
No, just in Secret Invasion, his actions, like when he's speaking to the president, it's like, oh, like the president, look, it's in your face. It must be them. And it's like he would never do that. Like the Colonel Rhodes that we know would never push for war, especially after what happened in Civil War when he lost the ability in his legs because of like...
Yeah, wait, hang on. What happened to his legs? Because I was just thinking...
Yeah. So in Civil War, there was a huge fight, and I think...
He was the one that got injured. Yeah.
Someone fired... I remember. It was Vision. Vision was trying to hit, I think, Ant-Man. Ant-Man then shrunk, and then the beam that Vision... You know how he shoots beams from the diamond thing in his forehead?
Yeah.
It then hit... War Machine, so Colonel Rhodes, and then he fell from the sky and crashed into the ground, and that's how he lost the ability in his legs.
But then how come he's got that ability back now?
So
I missed something?
So one of the things that that Tony Stark did for him was got him like kind of like prosthetic walkers that would walk his legs around, and I completely forgot about that. And I think the director put it there on purpose in episode 6. Like when he's released from it, they have to hold him up and carry him, because his legs don't work anymore.
I must have missed that scene.
And I think I completely forgot, like, the way he's walking is if everything's fine. I should have seen it from the beginning. Like, he usually walks a bit slower just because, like, his legs aren't fully working.
Yeah.
But then, I was just like, they must have added that later on to just tweak us in our minds. Like, we completely forgot that he had that injury.
Yeah, I was about to say, always, that's a serious continuity issue that Sonny kind of... Unless after the blip. Did he get taken away in a blip?
Yeah, he did.
Would he have come back with his legs working because of the blip?
No,
I guess not. Yeah, because at that point in time, he must have been so pissed off when he came back. He's like, damn it, Thanos, could you have killed us all sooner? I am inevitable. Damn it, Thanos. You were so right. You were gone too soon, Thanos. This episode's dedicated to Thanos.
You'll be always in our hearts.
He used the stones to destroy the stones. By the way, I loved all the memes that came out, like, there's a company that makes disposable coffee cups out of coffee rinds, like the left, when you make it in a machine, you tip it in a bin. It's like the Thanos meme for that is, I use the coffee to drink the coffee. Another one was, police officers in the US paid to put a billboard up that said, drug dealers, inform on your competition, call 991. And I was like, I used the drug dealers to destroy the drug dealers. Like, it's just endless. Thanos was the voice of a generation. Okay, next part I thought was an interesting moral quandary is when really cool when Fury confronts Gravik and Fury speech box confronts Gravik, putting on a whole show about radiation poisoning and reactor, and Gravik just fully has a go at him, and he says, do you even recognize who this is, who I've taken the skin of? This is the first man I killed on your orders. He had a family, Fury. He had all of this. And I really like it because it shows Fury... I like it, when they show heroes as vulnerable, like, and then not necessarily the best of people. They make really tough decisions for the greater good. And for Fury, that's definitely the case, that Well, sorry. It's funny that because Guy was acting as Fury so well that you really thought he was admitting to like being, I'm sorry, I failed you, blah blah
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah.
But actually wasn't him. So really, Fury actually doesn't care.
Give a damn.
Yeah, he doesn't give a damn. Like Fury is this like they're rescuing his girlfriend or something.
I
Oh, the
think-
president. That was it. Yeah.
And I think also like he throughout the series he finds it hard to apologize. Like I would love to see like what the reason behind this. Like remember like when Talos was like, "What you just come?" I think episode 3 is like you've just come here and you want me to just hop on and just go with you to save the day. And he's like, "You couldn't even just say, sorry, Talos, I need your help." And he's like, he's about to leave and then turns around and says it. And then also like he doesn't really apologize a lot to his wife either.
Yeah,
and I
they've
think,
got a
like,
weird
he-
marriage.
yeah, they do.
They've literally sat at a table with guns on the table. Like, not an orthodox marriage. Yeah,
Also not an interspecial marriage.
yeah, very unusual marriage. And you know, she's like, "Would you love me in my normal form?" And then at the end, she shows his normal form, and he still kisses her. And I'm like, "Ew."
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
I'm being a bit narrow-minded. Like watching like 100 years when aliens on the planet, and that's very normal. This episode will be cancelled by then. Too soon. Too soon. And you know, question I had is who wore the best long coat? You have Fury's. You know, when he fully puts the gear on, he gets his proper when he's head of Shield or whatever involvement he had in Shield. He has that long
Yes,
coat on.
yes.
He gets his eye patch out, which I assume is a Kevlar eye patch because it looks like it's armored, just in case they shoot him in his bad eye again. By the way, did that eye thing happen in Captain Marvel? Was it because
when
of that
the cat
cat thing?
scratches him? Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Because everyone was like, "Oh my days, he must have done it like on a mission." And the way that they just put it, no, it's just an alien cat with poisonous claws.
I've got to admit, I loved Captain Marvel. Two things. One, because it was actually quite funny.
Yeah.
Like there was a scene, like you just said, but also when Talos shows up at Captain Marvel's friend's house and surprises them, and he keeps telling Captain Marvel's friend, "Calm down, girl. Calm down, girl." She's like, "You tell me to calm down, girl, one more time. I'm going to stick this gun where you don't want it to be." And he's like, "Am I expected to know whether that is?" And then both Samuel L. Jackson and their friend turn around at the same time. Your ass! I was a bit like that movie wasn't trying too hard to be funny. It was
Yeah.
actually quite funny.
Yeah, and I think also one thing I did like was the nostalgia, especially you had the blockbusters there.
Yeah.
And also like the
Music.
contacting and also trying to like contact someone. I think in the film, wasn't like a like
Was
an,
it 90s or 80s?
it was 95, yeah, 1995.
Okay. Oh, dear, I was born.
And like when he's like trying to contact like Shield, like the device he has to use, and it's like, yeah, like way back then, like literally you could have a laptop on your phone compared to the technology they had back then.
Yeah, that's true. And this is the 90s. God, I remember. I guess because me and you were probably one of the last few generations where we had Nokia brick phones
Yeah.
in school and stuff. And then like the flick phones as well, which were cool. I've missed those. Actually coming back, I think Samsung.
Yeah.
I
And it was
don't-
even in the episode, that was the phone that Nick Fury's wife had. She had I think it was like the purplish pink, Samsung flip phone, yeah.
How much did Samsung pay
To get that in there,
Just that. Let me get out my phone. just casually just putting that on screen. Those are cool. And then I guess we, had the BlackBerry generation as well. I never had one of those.
Yeah.
BBM, that was so big in school for like 2 years.
And then WhatsApp came in and like replaced it completely. And
Yeah.
what's the one that iPhone, the messenger that iPhone has?
iMessage?
I think so. Yeah, you can tell that neither of us have an iPhone. That's why we don't.
I had an iPhone
Oh,
4
you had one,
for a
okay.
little bit, but I literally smashed the screen after 2 weeks. I
Oh,
was such an
no.
idiot. I was like, "Why didn't you put a case on there?" And I was like, "But it doesn't look the same without the case." But I always put cases on my phones now. I don't give a crap how they look. And then smartphones. We've gone through a generational transition together. I mean, those are days, but like I think in like late 80s, early 90s, they literally mobile phones
Yeah.
looked like military grade walkie talkies. Like they were
Yeah.
huge. Yeah. So yeah, going back to the question, who wore the best long coat, Fury or Gravik? Because Gravik looked kind of cool, very English, gentlemanly, despite being a bully.
Sonya's coat, you wouldn't count as a long coat, would you?
Actually, I wasn't even thinking of Sonya. I was just thinking of the showdown between, Fury and Gravik.
But between them, I would say Gravik, just because he's been rocking it the whole season.
Yeah,
I'd have to give it to Gravik, yo.
I will say, though, I think Fury has 2 of the same coat, 2 of the same eye patch, 2 of the same hat, 2 of the same... Because literally...
Yeah, he literally replaced the hat with another hat that looked almost exactly the same.
Well, it depends, because how does... assume when Skrull take people's face, do they just take their clothes as well?
I think they do, because, maybe not, actually. No, I think they do, because when she changed, her clothes also changed into that, that zipper jacket when Gaia was fighting Gravik. So I think their clothes do change, yeah.
Wow, that's good. But is that part of their skin? Can they take, because that could be a way you could tell if someone's a Skrull. Try and take their Prada jacket off, and it's like, if you start pulling off their skin, you're like, okay, this is a Skrull. Don't know. We asked important questions here, Skrull.
Ones, yes.
Our Skrull audience out there, we know you're out there. You're in society. We're asking you. Write in. Let us know how that works. And then, of course, we had the president's speech. It's kind of quite a bittersweet ending. Kind of expected, because that's mankind for you. We just don't like the other. And historically, that's been, we call it xenophobia. Because it's towards not liking people who aren't from your country.
Yeah.
But actually, xeno is the word for alien. So actually, in this, xenophobia is not liking the Skrulls.
And even the word alien wasn't actually used for extraterrestrials until I think the 1800s. Before, aliens were called anyone who wasn't from that country.
Yeah.
So now aliens is now being used, especially with sci-fi, that anyone not from our planet. And one thing that I was basically saying to my brother was how aliens use the whole thing earthling?
Yeah.
Then that also means that an oak tree is also an earthling. And so is a crocodile, so is a lion. Because then technically anything that's from Earth should then be an earthling, right?
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah.
So then
fellow earthlings, we must unite.
Yes.
The crocodiles will rise up. Yeah, good point, actually.
Someone said would animals, especially the smarter animals, the whales, gorillas as well. You've got dolphins,
capybaras,
apes, yep, and them as well. Would they know? Would animals know an alien? Some of the animals have senses that we don't have. Some animals have got a better sense of smell.
Good point.
And also the fact that snakes can see. They see via I think it's infrared radiation. So they would then be able to tell that that's not what a human would look like, especially for a Skrull.
Maybe.
But then the question is how would animals treat aliens? Because we know how we would either kill them outright or bring them in for testing. But then how would a lion, if it saw an alien, would it just be for 10 seconds, what the F is this? And then realize, all right, then I'm going to now try and attack it. Or would it be just it's another thing on this planet? Let's move on.
Just give me food. If it's like a dog, it's just give me food and I don't care. Or cat. I don't know. I wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility, because animals do have much more heightened senses than us. For example, when there's an earthquake, all the birds before that earthquake even happens, all the
snakes
birds
as well.
away.
Cats can sense it as well.
Yeah, tsunamis and stuff. Where do they pick up on that? I guess they can feel things more than us. So it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility that if an alien did come to planet and there was a cat just waiting by the ship as they come down, they would pick up on the smell. Possibly, some animals might pick up on the radiation or something and know something's up. It would just be funny if the aliens coming down this ramp just go up to a crocodile, go, "Greetings, Earthlings, take us to your leader." The crocodile's just what?
And also in some sci-fi films, animals, when they see animals, the animals react to them, cats full on what the F is this, hissing, full on hair standing on end. So I was thinking, could they potentially use animals? That would be actually a clever way to detect if someone's a Skrull or not. But it's hard because it kind of feels like they take everything, including smells.
Well, yeah, I suppose you could detect a Skrull by bringing their pet or the pet of the person they're masquerading as. Oh, don't you remember your pet? What are they called? Huh?
True.
Yeah, because I guess they only remember because what was it, when they take someone's face and mind. They only take like recent memories, don't they? So that could be a good way to detect it, unless it's a new pet. Clever. We're getting down to this, asking the right questions, mate.
Or just ask everyone in the world to basically donate blood. That's another way. Like literally, you could be like,
No, secretly, yeah.
and I think that's probably what they would do. Like especially the way the episode ended. Like go into offices and say, okay, then this office, everyone here, you know the way that they do sometimes in America for like immigration, they go to a place and say someone suspected to be an illegal immigrant here. They brush in with ice
Yeah.
and then take people away. They rush into a building and say, we believe there's an alien here. They do their tests and then leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it's kind of like gearing towards. And it then brings on the whole fear factor as well.
Yeah, I guess so. I did like that aspect of the ending you touched on there about how people is becoming like a witch hunt. Like people were killing people thinking they were Skrulls, but they're just for humans.
Yeah, like the woman outside 10
That
Downing
Downing
Street.
Street,
Yeah,
and I was like,
the
lol.
Prime Minister. Yeah.
That's cool because that would cause that sort of panic on a whole nother level.
But also, how did they know? How did they know that the president, the prime minister, and also the guy on that who's we won't say the news channel he's supposed to be on, but on that news channel that they knew that he was a Skrull, and they knew that the prime minister was a Skrull.
Because the quality of reporting coming from Fox News is just so bad, as you know, as you can see with the court case at the moment.
So someone must have leaked information, like who were Skrull.
Maybe, I don't know. I'd like to see them dive into that. So here's a question for you. Do you think there'll be a Secret Invasion 2? Or if there's not, how do you think they're going to fit in the Skrull with the continuing timeline and the Marvel universe?
What I think is what I thought from the beginning. So Emilia Clarke's character is going to become the queen of the Skrulls.
Right.
And Nick Fury is going to find them a planet. But by the time he finds them a planet, humanity does as humanity does and is killed and really dampened the relationship. So they're like, we're leaving, goodbye. But it's on a very, very bad terms.
Well, that's humanity for you. Well done, humanity, once again.
And then also you then get which actually I think would be amazing, like if the Kree, so the green looking aliens, come to Earth in search of the Skrull, and they're like, give up the Skrull or we destroy Earth. And then humanity is like, all right, then we didn't want them to begin with. Take them and now get lost. That would be an amazing storyline.
Yeah, there would be. It could be. And there could be like divisions in society based on that. What if there's like actually like, you know, I was going to say human rights groups. I mean, Skrull rights groups that develop amongst humans.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Or what if the Skrull that have infiltrated human society form those Skrull rights groups?
It kind of reminds me of like, have you watched Independence Day?
Yeah.
You know the group of people who are like, yeah, aliens, they
Yeah.
have their side.
Party,
Yeah,
woo!
we love you, aliens. And then
they just got first ones to get eviscerated.
Yeah, so there'll probably be groups like that who are like, you know what, I prefer the Skrull to human anyway, or groups that are like, you know what, we should basically team up with them. They're a part of humanity, and
They
you
could
know,
be a useful asset, you know.
yeah, and I think to a point, what if like a government is like, you know what, we can use them. So similar to what Sonya's doing with Gaia's character, that they are working together. So they'll provide them with resources, but they will also help to protect the planet and protect the world. That what if another government or another agency on the planet is like, who's evil, is like, you know what, we will work together, and
That's
we
quite
will
realistic. Take on
yeah,
it,
because like Hydra's gone missing. Like we haven't heard from Hydra in a while. What if Hydra are like, you know what, we could use this Skrull thing to bring us back into the forefront.
Possibly, yeah. Or like, you know, even thinking realistic in like, I'm just thinking real life, like rogue nations like North Korea would definitely use the Skrull as like to help further their naughty goals against like South Korea and stuff. That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
People just weaponizing them and like granting them special, like Fury did, granting them special sanctuary, but as long as they work for them.
I think one cool thing that could be done is if like, you know, where you've got like Wakanda and you've also got
Talakan.
you've got those two places, is that what if the Skrull have actually, could the Skrull infiltrate Talakan?
If they didn't know about it, if humanity didn't know about,
because
then I guess they
humanity
didn't.
doesn't know about
Yeah.
them, and so that would actually be, I think, something that they could do. Like, when they do like shorts, like a 30-minute of like short of Marvel, like how would Wakanda deal with a Skrull that's invading, and also like what with the whole Skrull situation, how does that then set out the political landscape for Talokan and also for Wakanda? Will they then come together and say that we must do something to address the Skrull, so therefore they don't infiltrate either of our kingdoms? And like I was watching online, like there's actually like a 3-pronged like protectors. So you've got Namor, who's the protector of Talokan.
Talokan.
You've got Shang-Chi, who's the protector of the Ten Rings. And then you've also got Black Panther, who's a protector of Wakanda.
Yeah.
And potentially someone was saying, could you have them come together as a group that focuses on protecting either their specific realms? So, Shang-Chi is protected over the realm that his mother's from.
Yeah.
And then you've got Talokan, you've also got Wakanda. Or will they come together and be like, you know what, let's protect the world? And someone was also saying that have you seen the Doctor Strange film? The second one?
I haven't seen either. Honestly, I'm such a bad person to talk about Marvel. But to be honest, after watching, like, I was really impressed by Captain Marvel. I'm starting to fall in love. I think my next watch list is Shang-Chi and the Doctor Strange movies, because I've heard they're both really good, and the Shang-Chi one's really good as well.
And the reason I said it is because then in an alternate universe, just a brief spoiler here, they have, which is also in the comics, they have something called the Illuminati, which is like the most powerful.
What do you mean in this universe they exist, bro?
They have like a huge, like the most powerful people. So in different like types of the Illuminati, you've got Namor is in it at times, Black Panther, so T'Challa was a part of it. You've got Charles Xavier, you've got Mr. Fantastic. Have I mentioned Namor?
Yeah. No,
Iron Man is also a part of the Illuminati as
of course,
well.
he's so rich.
And I think like those three if they want to build like an Illuminati in our Marvel universe, so the one where they could use Shang-Chi, Namor, who is a part of the Illuminati in the comics, and Black Panther, who's also a part of the Illuminati in the comics as well. And I just want to see like the direction they're gonna take. But unfortunately, many of you probably know that the writers are now also actors strike as well. So we probably won't get anything concrete in the next, maybe until this time next year.
I know, a lot of stuff's going to be delayed for a while. Like, I think House of Dragon is going to be 2025 now, which is hurts, but I totally support the writer and actors strike.
100%.
Like, the amount writers are paid, this is their last big payoff before AI takes over. Yeah. Okay, final question. Actually, it's a couple questions. I thought this would be kind of fun. So, if you were a Skrull, for each of these questions, who would you be? So, for power, whose form would you take?
Anyone in Marvel? Or
I meant actually. I actually meant in real life. But
in real life.
I'll tell you
Okay.
what, let's say.
Well,
Okay, let's do Marvel and real life.
We can do both.
Okay, so
For
Marvel.
power, I would say for power, I would take in the real world. I would take Elon Musk. Just because, like, one, he's one of the biggest faces right now. Two, he's one of the richest people in the world. And three, it's like he has power over people's perception of information, especially with Twitter now becoming X.
He has like informal power, and he's not a state or government, but I just have a strong feeling that he's actually stronger than a state or government.
Yeah, and I think like would have said like Jeff Bezos, but he's kind of like tried to stay back out of the limelight because he realizes that the whole thing about being a billionaire and being proud of it and is kind of like a poor image for him, especially with the way that workers at Amazon have been treated.
Yeah.
So I think he's trying to stay out of the limelight. So
apart from his rocket.
And then you've just got the two, like the three main new billionaires. You've got Mark Zuckerberg and also Elon Musk. So I would probably pick Elon Musk. And like for power in the Marvel universe, I would say, if for power, I would have to say Namor.
Namor, he is very cool, man.
And I also think like
great swim shorts
if
as well.
If you could take his one, he's a good looking guy. Two, if you could take his powers. And three, I think also we've only scratched the surface of like how powerful Talokan is. Like literally, they could have, if he really wanted to, lay waste to Wakanda so easily.
Yeah, I mean, he did pretty much in the second
Yeah.
one. He killed
And
the
like that was
bloody
just to send a message. Like if you really
Queen
wanted to
Mother,
wipe them
yeah.
out, and like even in the last battle, they were about to lose. And like how many like people of Talakan does he have under his control, under his
Well,
his
yeah,
command?
and they're all made out of vibranium. They all can't. Technically, they all can't die, can they? Because the vibranium's in their blood. Like they
Yeah.
get shot, but they just get up again. So
Yeah.
unless vibranium can getting stabbed by a vibranium spear maybe kills them.
Or I think like if they're further enough away from land and it's a powerful enough like
From
energy
sea,
blast,
yeah.
then yeah. But then also like the communication with animals. Like imagine if he was gonna like take over the world, the
Use
world.
the crocodile army.
But then would he be able to control crocodiles? I know he controls water,
Whales, yeah.
but would he be able to control fresh water though? But he did
Good
appear in the lake.
question.
But he did appear in the lake.
Yeah, he did in Wakanda, yeah.
So I think he can handle any water.
Does it mean he can appear in a swimming pool then?
I think too much chlorine. I think
Yeah, probably.
would mess up his gills.
Paddling pool. Stay away from your paddling pool. No one's coming.
Yeah. So for power, I would say for Marvel, Namor, and for real life, I would say Elon Musk.
Okay, for beauty.
Beauty. For Marvel, beauty.
Oh, I would definitely say Captain Marvel. I think I think that's the main reason why I love Captain Marvel so much, because Brie Larson. I was just every scene I was like, oh. I hope my girlfriend isn't watching this.
If Black Widow wasn't dead, I would have picked her, but she's currently dead in the MCU. Who would I pick?
Yeah, actually, yeah, Scarlett Johansson. Damn.
Because I'm close to picking them all, but I want to pick someone different.
Oh yeah, Namor. Okay, from a male perspective, who was hot? Thanos. Why would I even have to think Thanos straight away? He is inevitable.
So the woman's side, I would say Black Widow,
Yeah.
if she's still alive, and on the male side,
What's the bad guy in Captain America 1? Red Skull. Now, that's hot.
Actually, I'll take Captain America.
Captain America, yeah, he's buff, he's hot.
Yeah.
He can kick ass. Yeah, true. Who would I pick from the male side? So, out of all the Avengers. Oh, you know what? That's a hard question. I think probably Thor.
I completely forgot about
that
Thor.
That lion mane's hair. Oh, damn! built. Also, body fluctuates as well. he's he's only. I was going to say he's only human, but he's not. So, yeah. Okay, and then final one for intellect. Even though the Skrull only steal recent memories, but let's imagine that you could somehow steal their looks and their
intellect. Okay.
Yeah.
So in Marvel, intellect.
Or real life. Marvel and real life, let's say.
So for real life, I'd probably Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'd probably definitely take his intellect.
Fair.
And then
you do quite him a lot, actually. You're a big fan of him.
Yeah. And I think like in Marvel, it's the weird thing is like you've got like what they say in the comic books. So like for intellect, Shuri is one of the most smartest in the comics.
She is, yeah.
And also in the film, so I'll probably take Shuri.
Yeah, that's good.
Because then rating like intellect, so the people with high intellect are on the hero side is Iron Man, Mr. Fantastic, Professor X is also up there, but I think from those three it's
who's the lowest in the Marvel universe? The raccoon from
No, but Rocket's actually very clever.
Actually, yeah, you're right, he does make a lot of stuff. Star-Lord then? He's kind of a bit of like an idiot.
I would
love
have to say yeah. I'd have to say Peter Quill, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Who would I choose for intellect in the Marvel universe? Oh, goodness me. Oh, yeah, in Captain Marvel, the Skrull assisting Talos, the nerdy one, like, oh my god, I can be on that. Yeah, great. Definitely him.
I was also realizing in Captain Marvel, you also had the Kree super intelligence. Like, that would probably be the one to do. But then the issue is, does she would just know stuff about the Kree? But I want to infiltrate Earth. So why would I care about all that Kree information? So yeah,
Oh,
probably
why
be
did I say
Shuri.
Loki? Actually, Loki would have
Yeah.
been.
Oh, yes.
Damn
Yeah,
it!
yeah, yeah,
Loki
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
most
yeah.
playful intellect. He's very smart, but in a very mean, playful way. I guess in real life, if I could steal someone's intellect, oh goodness, I think someone with social charisma as opposed to maybe like Einstein. Actually, mind you, he had a lot of charisma.
Yeah,
Yeah, screw it.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
Einstein.
yeah,
There
he
you go.
did.
He was a bit of a charmer. He had scientific knowledge and charm. So there you go. And watch Oppenheimer because he appears in it in cameo appearances. But yeah, not the actual one. He's dead. But an
But
actor.
actually, I was thinking, why hasn't anyone done a film? It kind of feels like for like major people that they try and like have like a huge gap within like biopics. So you had like Ben Kingsley play Gandhi,
Yeah.
but then you haven't like the one for Bob Marley, which is the actor who plays Gravik. Like they took like a huge break for that, but like no one's done like a full on like Hollywood biopic of like of Einstein.
It's true. I don't know why actually. Because they've done Oppenheimer. They've done J. Edgar Hoover, which
Yeah.
is not necessarily the most prized person in society. They've done Nelson Mandela. They've done Martin Luther King, haven't they?
Yeah, they did,
Selma.
Oh, but that was a specific incident. Yeah, because I think one of the things that they do with like major
As opposed to actual
figures is like
biopic, yeah.
even the one
Yeah.
that the two films. So you had two Nelson Mandela films. One was with Morgan Freeman. It was based on him
I was going to say Insidious. But
That's what I was going to say as well,
That's a
like,
horror movie.
Invictus, I think.
Invictus, yeah, I think
And
so.
that's after he's been released from prison.
Yeah.
And then you've also got I think it was the one with Idris Elba, which is almost like it's a full-on biopic of his whole life. And then it ends when he's released from prison.
Right, okay.
So then you've got those. And like Selma was like Martin Luther
Was
King,
it
but it was a specific event.
Okay, fair enough.
But you have also like Malcolm X with Denzel Washington as well, which is another really great one.
Ali's
Yeah.
that's a good one.
The one I would love to see is like one about Fidel Castro.
Yeah,
That would be like
interesting.
but I think just because of like the current situation between America and the US, well,
Yeah, it'd be hard for
Cuba
push out
and the
in
US, yeah.
Hollywood.
Like if Hollywood picked that, they'd be saying, "Oh, you're promoting Castro's regime."
Yeah,
Because they did do a Che Guevara film in like
Che Guevara.
Che Guevara,
Yeah.
film.
Was that the Motorcycle Diaries or something? Is that when he's traveling around Argentina with?
I think they did one with that, and they actually did one that was like a biopic about his life, and it was in 2 parts, and I really liked it because it was all in Spanish. Because every time Hollywood makes a movie, even like the new Napoleon film, all of them have British accents, and you're like, what?
I'm very excited to see that, but at the same time, I wish they just did it in French. Like, come
Yeah,
on! I
yeah,
know obviously
yeah.
the famous actors wouldn't do it, but come on, But this is it. It's hard to sell this stuff internationally and also in Hollywood to actually get funding for it. That's why it's very rare for an international movie to actually win an Oscar. I think there's only one in history, and that's been Parasite.
Yeah,
the
to win
South
Best
Korean
Film,
movie,
yeah.
that's a big monumentous event for that to win an Oscar for. To be honest,
Yeah, because that's why they developed like best non-English speaking film, which basically is best foreign film.
yeah, gives them a chance. Yeah, which is fair. But I would just love to see, for once, for example, whenever like Gladiator, like. Mercifus Principus, we must find the gladiators, like all these American accents who would have, at the very least, had a sort of Italian-sounding accent speaking Latin. But,
Yeah, and like even
like a Passion of the Christ was great.
Yeah, yeah.
Despite it, the topic of the movie, but I really liked it. They speak Aramaic in it. They
Yeah.
speak
Latin,
Latin,
Aramaic in it, yeah.
That was good. It's good to actually see that because everyone just speaks English in Jesus's time.
And I think the weird thing also is that my sister was telling me, so when you've got scenes with the British with British accents, and then you've got the French with British accents, you're like, at least give the French a different accent, because it's like you can have a scene with like Horatio Nelson or the Duke of Wellington or the King of England, and then it's weird because then they're having British accents, then you're cropping to the French and they have British accents. And then also like you see in the trailer that also this is a big digression, but you see in the trailer that they're executing the King and Queen of France.
Yeah.
So are they going to have British accents as well? Like,
Yeah. Well, this is it. Remember in Vikings, they had a really interesting take on that. And when the Vikings speak English to each other, but they do have like loosely Scandinavian accents.
Yeah, yeah.
And when the Saxons, the English, speak, well, Saxon, but English to each other because we see it English. The show's in English. But when they meet each other, when they're talking, they revert to the actual language.
Yeah.
That
yes.
wasn't the first series. I don't know if they kept that up.
They
but
did kind of, and
Yeah.
also they said that there are also similarities between Saxon and Angle languages and Nordic languages. That there were similarities.
Well, even then, before they
Yeah, so
came
they
over.
were close. So they would like basic words they could understand, but it was a very different language. And I was speaking to someone who studies languages that when the actual like there's different types of Vikings as well, which the show really hits off. That you've got
Yeah.
Finnish Vikings, you've got Swedish Vikings, you've got
Danish.
Norse Vikings, and you've got Danish Vikings, and that the Danish Vikings are actually, I think, Ragnar's children. So Ragnar, I believe, is Danish, not Norse. So that's why when they came and invaded, it was called Danelaw. So the whole
Yeah.
bit of England was
It was
called
Danelaw,
Danelaw.
that makes
Like
sense.
also watching The Last Kingdom as well.
Yeah.
The Danelaw, and then it was weird because then you would have periods where the Norse Vikings would then invade. So then the King of Norway, like I think it was Knut the Great, was King of Norway, possibly King
Yeah.
of Denmark,
He was a
and King
big
of
deal.
England. Yeah,
For at that point in history, that is a very big deal, amount of land. And everyone had, like, even the Vikings tribes united against him. The English were
yeah,
he
and
was
like
an enemy to everyone. You know?
and like and even in like history, like someone was telling me, like literally, the Danes saw themselves closer to the Anglo-Saxons when they were fighting the Norse Vikings, and like people also like paint this brush that all Vikings are the same, but no, like you had Finnish Vikings, you had Swedish Vikings, you
Yeah.
had many different tribes of Vikings, and like even some of them you had like Vikings who went to the Rus, which is currently Russia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they are the ones that people think actually went all the way to Constantinople,
Yeah.
modern day Istanbul, where you literally can see a Viking
Yeah,
rune.
yeah.
It's carved on the wall that
Yeah.
says Halfdan was here.
Yeah, and
It's
like
crazy
and
how
like
far they
part
went.
of like the emperor of the Byzantine Empire, like his special guard were actual Vikings.
Yeah,
he
the
had a
Varangian
special
guard.
Yeah,
I know. Honestly, we need to do an episode on Vikings because
Yes,
we'll just
yeah.
talk about Vikings TV show, but definitely go off a big tangent.
100%. Like
I'd be more than up for that.
even link like have a long special of like the fact that Vikings is like the prequel to The Last Kingdom as well. I think that's why I
Yeah,
like both
it
the
is.
shows together.
Yeah, I need to finish watching Last Kingdom. Anyway, so so we went from Secret Invasion about aliens to Vikings. We definitely folks, you have seen the biggest tangent we've ever gone on. But we
We
saved that to the end.
Yes,
we saved that to
yes.
the end, so you can just watch the first bit. But thanks for joining us once again, folks. We hope you've had a great time. And if you haven't seen Marvel's Secret Invasion yet, go watch it because
Yes.
hey, I was a doubter. I was a naysayer. They called me a madman. But I gotta admit, I was impressed by this. It's hard hitting, it's emotional, and it's just damn good. So watch it. Marvel's Secret Invasion out there
Yeah.
on Disney Plus.
And just like one last point, it's not cliche as well. Like especially everything that we see from Marvel, it's not cliche. And I really like that about the series. Yes, yes.
I'd tap it one more time. So sit your ass down and watch Secret Invasion.
Yes.
Have a lovely rest of your week, folks. And just before you go, just to let you know that we're always there for you in the comments on YouTube. I will read through them all and comment, or at least leave a like. So please do that. Hit the notifications button. And if you really, really love us, subscribe to our Patreon. Also, you can find some of our episodes on Spotify. So check that out. And also, thank you to our Lord Jeffrey from the Pick Up the Mic Network. That's all, folks. Have a nice one.
See you, folks.
Bye-bye.